There comes a moment in every life when the world grows loud and the soul grows tired of waiting to be seen. A moment when you look at your own reflection and realize you have spent too much time dimming your light so others could shine. Today, I want you to rise. I want you to gather every scattered piece of yourself and call them home, because this is your hour to focus, your season to value the person you have ignored, overlooked, and underestimated yourself. And when you finally choose you, the world will witness a transformation it cannot deny. You teach the world how to treat you by how you treat yourself. And too many of us have spent years teaching the world a lesson that does not honor who we truly are. We bow when we should stand. We whisper when our truth deserves to be spoken aloud. We apologize for simply existing, as though our presence is a burden instead of a blessing. But there comes a day, yes, a holy and necessary day, when you must reclaim the language of your own worth. When you must look at yourself not with the eyes of doubt, but with the eyes of love. For the world mirrors back the energy you hold within, and if you carry yourself like you are small, the world will believe you. But when you carry yourself like you matter, the world will have no choice but to rise in response. So it is time, my dear listener, to treat yourself with the tenderness you have poured into others, with the patience you have handed out like water in a desert, with the kindness you have given freely even when your own cup was nearly empty. Because the truth is this: your value does not increase when someone else validates it. Your value simply is. It has been there since the day you took your first breath, steady, strong, undeniable. And when you begin to act like you know this value, when you walk in it, speak in it, breathe in it, the world will adjust itself to your new posture. There is power in how you carry your soul. When you rise each morning and declare, "I deserve peace," life starts opening doors you once thought were locked. When you say, "I am worthy of love, of respect, of success," opportunities shift their gaze toward you. Focus becomes your compass. Self-respect becomes your armor. And suddenly, you find yourself walking toward a future that feels more like you, instead of the life you settled for because you were too afraid to choose differently. Focusing on yourself is not selfishness, it is stewardship. It is recognizing that the mind you inhabit, the heart you carry, the dreams you hold are sacred. You must protect them from distractions disguised as obligations and from people who take without giving. You must guard your attention like treasure, because it is. What you focus on becomes your world. So focus on what strengthens you. Focus on what inspires you. Focus on what pulls you closer to the version of yourself you have longed to become. And as you begin to value yourself, something beautiful happens. You stop chasing what was never meant for you. You stop begging for spaces that shrink you. You stop lowering your voice so others can feel comfortable in their own insecurities. Instead, you stand tall. You speak with clarity. You move with intention. And the world, in its own time, learns to treat you the way you have finally chosen to treat yourself, with dignity, with reverence, with truth. This is your moment, your turning point, your rise. And it begins with one choice: to value yourself enough to focus on the life you were created to live. Self-worth begins the moment you decide you deserve better, not when the world applauds you, not when someone finally notices your efforts, not when life becomes gentle and forgiving. No, self-worth begins in the quiet, private moment when you whisper to yourself, "I cannot continue living beneath my own potential." It begins when you acknowledge the truth you have been avoiding, that you have tolerated far too little joy and far too much pain, far too many excuses and far too few boundaries. You deserve better, not because you must earn it, but because you are a living, breathing expression of possibility. And possibility should never be confined to the small spaces where fear tries to hide it. The day you decide you deserve better is the day you stop settling for crumbs when you were born to sit at the table. You stop accepting half love, half effort, half respect. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into places that were never built for your growth. You stop giving people the power to tell you who you are or how far you can go. A decision like this is not loud. It does not require fireworks or applause. It starts as a quiet shift, a soft turning of the heart, a gentle rise of the spirit. But once it begins, everything around you starts to change because everything within you has changed first. And this decision, this sacred moment of declaring that you deserve better, asks you to do something brave, to release the people, habits, and environments that thrive on your self-neglect. It asks you to walk away from the familiar cages you once called comfort. It demands that you look at the life you have been living and ask yourself if it is truly yours, or simply the one you accepted because fear told you it was the only one available. When you decide you deserve better, you reclaim your authority. You reclaim your choices. You reclaim the pen that writes the story of your life. You begin to speak differently. Your no becomes firmer, steadier, more honest. Your yes becomes intentional. You no longer chase people who make you feel unworthy. You no longer apologize for wanting peace or distance or clarity. Instead, you become a guardian of your own spirit. You choose paths that honor your worth rather than drain it. You learn that better does not always mean more. Sometimes it means less chaos, less noise, less pretending. Sometimes it means returning to yourself after years of abandoning your own needs. And as you grow into this new understanding, your life begins to reflect your inner transformation. You attract opportunities that once seemed unreachable. You draw in relationships that honor your heart instead of wounding it. You start to feel a peace you once believed was reserved for others. The world does not magically become easier, but you become stronger, wiser, more grounded. Your energy shifts and life responds. The moment you decide you deserve better is the moment you step into your true power. It is the beginning of everything you have been longing for, the beginning of your healing, your rising, your becoming. And from that moment forward, nothing in your life stays the same, because you are no longer the same. Your focus is the steering wheel of your destiny. Where you look is where you go. Life has a way of pulling your attention in 1,000 directions, most of them designed to distract you from the path that truly belongs to you. But your destiny does not follow noise. It follows intention. It follows what you choose to honor with your time, your thoughts, and your energy. When you set your focus on fear, you move toward fear. When you fix your eyes on doubt, you walk straight into it. But when you focus on growth, on purpose, on the quiet promise inside you, your life shifts course and begins moving toward the future you were meant to claim. It is easy to underestimate the power of focus because it works silently. It does not shout or demand attention. It whispers, it guides, it nudges you in the direction of your higher self. Every dream you have ever considered, every vision you have ever dared to imagine requires focused attention, not scattered energy, not half-hearted effort, true focus. The kind that turns your maybe into a decision and your someday into a commitment. The kind that teaches you that you cannot arrive at greatness while entertaining distractions that drain the very soul you need for the journey ahead. And focus is not merely about looking forward, it is about refusing to look back. It is choosing not to revisit old wounds just because they are familiar. It is resisting the urge to replay conversations that broke your spirit. It is releasing regrets that serve no purpose other than keeping you anchored in a past that cannot offer you anything new. When you learn to fix your gaze on what builds you, you free yourself from what breaks you. You step out of the loop of old stories and into the wide open space of possibility where your next chapter awaits. There will be temptations along the way. People will try to pull you into their chaos. Circumstances will try to distract you with urgency that is not yours to carry. The world will offer shortcuts that lead nowhere and detours that disguise themselves as opportunities. But you are responsible for protecting your focus. You are responsible for steering your life with clarity, with discipline, with the unwavering belief that you deserve to arrive at the destination your heart keeps showing you. And the truth is, the moment you begin to focus, life begins to respond. Doors open, paths clear, strength rises, clarity sharpens. What once felt impossible begins to feel inevitable. When you understand the power of your focus, You stop scattering your energy on things that do not deserve your attention. You become more intentional with your time, more selective with your company, more careful with your thoughts. You start choosing what aligns with your purpose instead of what satisfies your momentary emotions. You learn that discipline is a form of self-love, and staying focused is an act of honoring your own potential. Your destiny is not written in the stars, it is written in your decisions. It is shaped by the direction you choose to give your mind and the devotion you give to your goals. So point your focus toward the life you desire, not the one you fear. Fix your gaze on your growth, on your healing, on your future, because where you look is where you go, and it is time to steer your life toward everything you were born to become. You are not here to shrink for others. You are here to stand fully in your power. For too long, you have dimmed your own light so others could feel comfortable in their shadows. You have made yourself smaller, quieter, gentler, not because it was your truth, but because you feared what would happen if you dared to be seen. But shrinking does not protect you. It only hides the magnificence you were born with. And the world does not benefit from your silence, it benefits from your strength. You were not placed on this earth to tiptoe through your own life. You were placed here to walk boldly in the fullness of who you are. There comes a moment when you must look at yourself and ask, who am I living for? Am I living to avoid upsetting others? Am I living to meet expectations that suffocate my spirit? Am I living a life of caution instead of courage? And when you answer truthfully, you will see that your spirit has been calling you to rise for far longer than you've allowed. It has whispered through your disappointments. It has spoken through your cravings for change. It has shouted through the moments you knew you deserved more. That voice inside you has been begging for freedom, the freedom to be whole, unfiltered, unapologetic. Standing in your power does not mean being loud. It does not mean dominating a room or demanding attention. Power is presence. Power is knowing who you are, even when others do not understand. Power is choosing truth over approval. Power is honoring your own voice, even when the world offers you silence. Power is refusing to shrink just because someone else feels uneasy in the presence of your growth. You do not need permission to exist fully. You do not need validation to rise. You only need the courage to stop stepping out of your own way. Every time you say yes to yourself, you rise a little higher. It may not feel dramatic at first. It may feel like a small decision, a quiet choice, a subtle shift in the way you move through your day. But those small yeses, those gentle approvals you give your own spirit, become the stepping stones toward the life you've been longing to live. When you say yes to rest, yes to boundaries, yes to healing, yes to your own dreams, something inside you begins to straighten and strengthen. You begin to walk with a different rhythm, a different confidence, a different understanding of who you are and what you deserve. You have spent years saying yes to everyone else, yes to responsibilities that drained you, yes to relationships that undervalued you, yes to expectations that were never meant for you. And in the process, you learned how to betray your own needs with a smile. But now, your spirit is calling for a new direction. A direction where your yes is not a reflex of fear or guilt, but an act of honoring your own worth. When you say yes to yourself, you are not rejecting others. You are reclaiming the parts of you that have been scattered by years of self-neglect. Your yes is a declaration of belief. It is a way of telling yourself, I matter, my needs matter, my dreams matter. It is a promise that you will no longer abandon yourself just to be accepted by others. And as you begin to live in that truth, you realize that saying yes to yourself is not selfish. It is necessary. It is what allows you to grow beyond the limits you once accepted. It is what helps you rise above the doubts that tried to clip your wings. And it is what teaches you that your life expands in the direction of your permission. There will be moments when your yes feels uncomfortable, even frightening. Choosing yourself may upset others. It may disrupt patterns you've carried for years. It may force you to confront truths you once avoided. But every meaningful transformation begins with discomfort. Growth is not meant to be gentle, it is meant to be honest. And honesty requires facing the parts of your life that no longer honor who you are becoming. When you choose yourself, you choose honesty. You choose courage. You choose evolution. And the beauty of saying yes to yourself is that your life begins to shift in ways you never expected. Opportunities that once felt distant start to come closer. Your energy becomes lighter. Your mind becomes clearer. Your heart becomes stronger. You begin to notice things about yourself, your resilience, your creativity, your brilliance that you once overlooked. You start to feel a sense of alignment, as though your steps finally match the rhythm of your spirit. That alignment is your rising. Every yes builds upon the last one. Every yes lifts you another inch above the weight of your past. Every yes draws you deeper into the person you were always meant to be. And over time, you look back and realize that the life you once dreamed of is no longer a dream. It is the life you are living, all because you chose yourself, all because you whispered again and again, yes, I am worthy of more. Yes, I deserve peace. Yes, I will rise. You said, but standing in your power also requires letting go of the stories that told you you're too much or not enough. Letting go of the people who only loved the version of you that stayed small. Letting go of the belief that your worth depends on your ability to please everyone around you. You cannot carry these burdens and expect to walk tall. You cannot cling to what diminishes you and still hope to rise. You must choose yourself, even when it feels unfamiliar, even when it feels uncomfortable, even when it feels lonely. Growth often begins in solitude, but it ends in strength. And when you finally stand in your power, truly stand, something extraordinary happens. The world adjusts. People who once overlooked you begin to listen. Opportunities you thought were out of reach begin to find their way to you. Your confidence becomes a magnet. Your clarity becomes a compass. Your presence begins to shift the atmosphere around you. Because when a person stands in their power, they do not just transform themselves, they transform the space they enter. You were never meant to shrink. You were meant to rise. You were meant to lead your own life with a steady spine and an open heart. You were meant to shine without apology, love without fear, and grow without limit. So step forward, take up your rightful space, stand fully in the power that has always belonged to you. The world needs the version of you that no longer hides. Silence the noise around you so your inner voice can finally be heard. The world is loud, so loud that it often drowns out the steady, gentle truth within you. Every day you are surrounded by opinions, expectations, comparisons, and demands that pull you in directions you were never meant to go. People tell you who you should be, what you should want, how you should live. Their voices rise like waves, crashing over the quiet whispers of your soul. But your inner voice, though soft, is the most honest guide you will ever have. And it cannot speak clearly until you silence the noise that competes for your attention. Noise does not always sound like chaos. Sometimes it appears as self-doubt. Sometimes it arrives as overthinking. Sometimes it disguises itself as guilt because you fear disappointing others. And sometimes the loudest noise comes from within, from the stories you tell yourself about what you can't do, can't be, or don't deserve. These voices, though they feel familiar, are not your truth. They are echoes of past wounds, fears you inherited, or limits placed on you by people who never understood the depth of your potential. To hear your inner voice, you must first quiet the voices that never belonged to you. Silencing the noise does not mean shutting out the world entirely. It means choosing what deserves access to your peace. It means stepping away from environments that drain your spirit. It means distancing yourself from conversations that feed your insecurity. It means learning to pause before reacting, to breathe before deciding, to think before absorbing energy that does not support your growth. Silence is not emptiness, it is clarity. And clarity gives your soul room to speak honestly about what it needs. When you allow yourself moments of quiet, you start to hear messages you've long ignored. You hear your intuition telling you which direction feels right. You hear your heart reminding you of dreams you buried under responsibility. You hear courage whispering, "You were made for more." You hear truth rising from the depths of your being, guiding you toward decisions that honor your worth. And in that silence, you begin to trust yourself, not because you know all the answers, but because you finally hear the voice that knows where your peace lives. The noise around you will always try to return. The world will always attempt to reclaim your attention, but you become stronger in choosing silence, stronger in choosing stillness, stronger in choosing yourself. And that strength becomes your shield. You begin to walk with more intention. You speak with more certainty. You act with more purpose. You stop reacting to everything and start responding only to what aligns with your spirit. You stop letting external chaos dictate your internal harmony. When your inner voice becomes louder than the world, you no longer feel lost. You no longer feel pulled in every direction. You no longer feel controlled by the expectations of others. Instead, you move with quiet confidence. You move with the deep knowing that your life belongs to you. And in that knowing, you find freedom, the kind of freedom that comes from hearing yourself clearly, trusting yourself fully, and honoring yourself completely. You are not behind, you are becoming. Give yourself the grace to grow. Too often, you measure your life against timelines that were never meant for you. You compare your journey to people who are walking entirely different paths. You look at the chapters others are celebrating and wonder why your own story seems slow, quiet, or unfinished. But growth does not follow a schedule set by the world. It follows the rhythm of your soul, and your soul is not late. Your soul is learning, unfolding, preparing you for a life that will fit you more honestly than anything you've tried to rush toward. There is a quiet beauty in becoming, a tenderness in the process that is easy to overlook when you are focused only on the results. You forget that transformation happens slowly. You forget that even flowers take time to bloom, that mountains take centuries to rise, that healing takes patience. You are so eager to arrive that you forget the value of the journey. But the journey is where you gain strength. The journey is where you learn resilience. The journey is where you become the person capable of holding the blessings you've been asking for. The idea that you are behind is nothing more than a lie told by fear and comparison. The truth is that every challenge you faced has shaped you, every detour has redirected you, every delay has protected you from something you were not ready for. Life is not punishing you, it is preparing you. And preparation is not a sign of failure, it is a sign of purpose. You are not meant to arrive unready. You are meant to arrive transformed. Give yourself grace, grace to rest, grace to learn, grace to try again, grace to not have everything figured out right now, grace to release the expectation that you must be perfect at becoming a newer version of yourself. Growth is messy, it is uncomfortable. It asks you to shed old habits, old beliefs, old identities that once felt necessary for survival. And shedding is painful, but what you lose in comfort, you gain in clarity. You discover parts of yourself you didn't know existed. Your courage, your compassion, your endurance, your quiet strength. You are becoming someone wiser, someone braver, someone more aligned with the truth you used to silence. And becoming requires time. Not borrowed time, not rushed time, your time. There is no clock on your healing. There is no deadline on your evolution. There is only your steady, determined unfolding. And every day you choose to show up, even in the smallest ways, you move closer to who you are meant to be. When you look back later, you will see that you were never behind. You will see that everything you thought was a delay was actually a divine alignment. You will see that every unanswered prayer was grace in disguise. You will see that the timing of your life was not slow, it was perfect. And the person you are becoming will thank you for not giving up on the days when growth felt invisible. So breathe, move at your pace, honor your becoming. You are not late, not lacking, not falling behind. You are unfolding exactly as you were meant to, slowly, powerfully, beautifully. Your value does not depend on validation. Your existence is your evidence. Too many people spend their lives waiting for someone else to confirm what has been true since the moment they entered this world, that they matter. You wait for approval before you move, permission before you speak, applause before you believe in your own gifts. But validation from others is fragile. It bends with their moods, their wounds, their misunderstandings. It shifts with their insecurities and disappears when they cannot see your worth through the fog of their own limitations. If you build your value on external validation, your confidence will crumble the moment the world grows quiet. You were not created to live according to the praise or criticism of others. You were created with an inner brilliance that does not need to be witnessed to be real. The sun does not ask the earth for permission to rise. The ocean does not seek applause before it waves. And you too do not need someone to tell you that you are worthy before you stand in your own truth. Your worth is not a reward, it is a birthright. It is woven into your existence, stitched into your soul, carried in your breath. Every heartbeat is proof that you were designed with purpose. When you stop seeking validation, you begin to hear your own voice more clearly. You begin to trust your instinct, your intuition, your wisdom. You stop asking, "Do they approve of me?" and start asking, "Does this honor who I am?" You stop shrinking for acceptance and start expanding in authenticity. You stop performing for applause and start living for alignment. And in that alignment, you discover a freedom that cannot be taken away because it does not depend on anyone but you. People will always have opinions about your life, but their opinions cannot determine your value. Some will misunderstand you, some will underestimate you, some will dislike you for reasons that have nothing to do with you, and you cannot spend your precious life trying to adjust yourself to fit into everyone's comfort. You cannot allow their fleeting words to dictate your identity. You cannot hand over the power of your worth to people who didn't craft your soul. Your existence alone is evidence of your significance. The fact that you have survived everything you've been through is proof of your strength. The dreams you carry are proof of your potential. The compassion you've shown, even after heartbreak, is proof of your depth. The moments you rose again, even when life tried to break you, are proof that you are more powerful than you realize. Nothing external can add to that, and nothing external can take it away. The moment you understand this, your life changes. You no longer chase people who cannot see you. You no longer bend yourself into shapes that betray your spirit. You no longer wait for others to validate the path you know is meant for you. Instead, you walk with a quiet confidence, a steady assurance, a deep inner knowing that you are enough because you exist. And existence, in its purest form, is proof of divine intention. So stand tall, stand true, stand whole. You are not valuable because someone says so. You are valuable because you are here, because you breathe, because your soul carries its own undeniable light. And when you finally accept this truth, you will no longer seek validation. You will simply shine. Focus is not about doing everything. It is about choosing what truly matters. So often, we measure productivity by how much we accomplish, as though busyness is proof of significance. We fill our days with tasks, obligations, and distractions that make us feel important, but do little to move our lives forward. We scatter our energy in every direction, believing that if we try everything, we will somehow arrive at success. But true focus is not measured by the volume of our actions. It is measured by the alignment of our actions with our deepest values, our highest priorities, and the life we are meant to create. Choosing what truly matters begins with clarity. It requires that we ask ourselves difficult questions. What am I willing to protect my energy for? What deserves my time? What aligns with the person I am becoming? And the answers are often simpler than we imagine. They are not hidden in endless lists or in someone else's definition of success. They are quiet, steady truths that resonate when we slow down enough to hear them. It is in those truths that focus finds its direction, its power, and its purpose. Focus also demands courage, because it often asks us to say no to what feels urgent, even if it does not feel important. It asks us to decline invitations that drain our spirit. It asks us to release relationships that distract from growth. It asks us to resist the pull of comparison and the pressure to conform. Saying no can feel uncomfortable, but each no is a statement that you value your time, your goals, and your peace. Every no makes room for a yes that truly matters, a yes that nourishes your soul, sharpens your vision, and propels you toward the life you are meant to live. Discipline is the companion of focus. Choosing what matters is not a one-time decision, it is a daily practice. It is waking up each morning and intentionally directing your energy toward what is significant. It is closing doors that lead to noise and opening doors that lead to growth. It is prioritizing long-term fulfillment over short-term gratification. And it is reminding yourself, again and again, that every distraction you resist strengthens your ability to create a life of purpose. The beauty of focus is that it multiplies your impact. When you concentrate on what truly matters, your efforts gain momentum, your actions compound, your vision becomes clearer, and suddenly, what once seemed overwhelming feels achievable. You accomplish not more, but more of what matters. Your life begins to reflect your priorities, your values, and the unique path you are meant to follow. And in this process, you discover something remarkable. That focus is freedom. Freedom from chaos, from distraction, from the exhaustion of trying to do everything. Freedom from the guilt of not being able to meet every expectation. Freedom to fully invest yourself in the things that honor your spirit, your potential, and your truth. Focus is not limitation, it is liberation. It is the quiet, deliberate choice to live a life that matters, a life that is yours, a life that reflects the brilliance of the person you are becoming. When you honor yourself, life begins to honor you back. This is not a promise of ease or perfection, but a truth that reveals itself in the subtle, powerful ways the universe responds when you stop compromising your worth. For too long, you may have walked through life bending, apologizing, and adjusting yourself to fit the expectations of others. You may have ignored your own needs, silenced your desires, and dimmed your spirit in order to make someone else comfortable. And in doing so, the world mirrored back the disregard you had learned to tolerate. But the moment you choose to honor yourself, everything begins to shift. Honoring yourself begins with boundaries. It begins with recognizing that your time, your energy, your emotions, and your dreams are sacred. You must protect them fiercely, not with aggression, but with clarity and commitment. When you refuse to tolerate disrespect, when you step away from situations that diminish you, you are teaching the world how to treat you. You are demonstrating that your presence is valuable and your peace is non-negotiable. The life that once seemed heavy and unfair begins to change because you have taken responsibility for the way you allow yourself to be treated. Self-honor is also an act of self-care. It is choosing rest when your body is tired, nourishment when your spirit is empty, and solitude when your mind is chaotic. It is listening to the quiet needs within you instead of constantly attending to the loud demands of the outside world. When you meet yourself with respect and compassion, the world follows suit. People begin to approach you differently, opportunities begin to align with your values. Doors that once seemed closed slowly start to open because the energy you are sending out, steady, confident, grounded, resonates with the flow of life. Honoring yourself also means celebrating your victories, however small, and forgiving yourself for your missteps. It is acknowledging that you are a work in progress and allowing yourself grace along the journey. When you treat yourself with patience and kindness, you cultivate an internal environment that supports growth rather than fear. Life mirrors that energy back, offering experiences that align with the respect and love you show yourself. Challenges do not disappear, but you meet them from a place of strength, knowing that your worth is not contingent on external circumstances. There is also a spiritual dimension to honoring yourself. It is an acknowledgement that you are a unique expression of life, deserving of dignity, joy, and fulfillment. When you honor your intuition, your passions, and your integrity, the universe responds by presenting opportunities that nurture those very qualities. Life begins to flow in ways that feel less like struggle and more like alignment. The people, places, and experiences that enter your life reflect the reverence you have for yourself, amplifying the sense of connection and purpose that comes from living authentically. Ultimately, honoring yourself transforms the way you exist in the world. You no longer seek permission to be. You no longer apologize for desiring more. You no longer shrink to fit into spaces that were never meant for your light. Instead, you rise fully into the life you were meant to live. And as you do, life begins to honor you in return, not because it owes you, but because it recognizes the force of your self-respect, your courage, and your unwavering commitment to yourself. When you honor yourself, you become unstoppable, radiant, and deeply aligned with the destiny you were born to claim.